Hey guys, going to be doing a quick PvE tiered video, but that's one that's very condensed and kind of to the point. And then after, I'll do the explanations. Kind of the same way that the PvP tier list video was. It's just not very clear. Some people are not getting the information all that well, so they've asked me to redo it. For PvE, a lot of things are going to be subjective to your level. What the best PvE heroes are not necessarily going to be the best PvE heroes for the level that you're on. So, your tier 1 heroes, and I think there's maybe, we'll go all the way to tier 4 for this video too. Though honestly, you could literally put all the heroes in order and have, 50 tiers. But your tier 1 or heroes, in no particular order again, are Chenny, Kai, Serendi, Bearman makes tier 1 on the PvE for 100% certainty. Let's see, Moo, Jack. I guess I should go in order for everything. So Lee would be tier 2. Deb would be tier 2. Carrot would be tier 2 also. Tao is tier 2. Not because Tao's not amazing, it's just that Lena basically does her thing from a range, safer place, so you don't have to have any kind of losing of stats or like the way that she, I'll explain later. Like I said, I'll explain later. Never mind. Momo is tier 3, which is hard to say. No, I should put him in. Been doing some hate to Momo. We'll put him in tier 2 just because. Chris is tier 3. Moss is tier 2. Jenny is tier 3, not 1 or 2. And you guys can hate on me for that later. Lena is tier 1. Nirvana is tier 2. Persona is tier... You know what? Persona is arguably tier 1 because he makes Nirvana easily recruitable. But for everything else, he's tier 3. So we're going to go with tier 3 Persona. Straka is tier 3 also. It's hard to put anybody in tier 4 when they have Water Walk. That's basically the only thing. Soraka kind of just doesn't really have any strength for anything. Angela is tier 1. Jin is she's tier 3 because she does have some good stats. Like Jin, the problem with Jin is that I'm not explaining it right now, of course, because it's exactly what I've said 100 times. Alfred is tier 3. Nox is tier 2. Rage is tier 1. Sonic is tier 3. Ian is the first tier 4 hero. Ian is probably the worst designed hero in the entire game. That's like one you would consider playing. Like, you would never consider playing Dolores unless you were on cocaine. Like, a lot of the community does an excessive amount of cocaine. Electra is tier 4 also, because I hate Electra. Mostly because she was the last boss for the longest time, who brought like no benefits. Lance is tier 2. Frul is tier 2 also. Almost wanted to put him in tier 1 to be completely honest, but I'll get to it later. Henry is tier 3. Lily is tier 2. Dominique is tier 3. Having the highest attack in the game. Like, you know what? Dominique could be rated a lot higher if it wasn't for the fact that you can't kill the boss every turn. But she would be pretty high. Dolores. You know, I'm gonna put Domin. No, I can't. We can't. We're gonna put her in tier 3 still. Dolores, obviously tier 4. Cleo is definitely tier 2. Jillian is also tier 2. Running out of space for tier 2. Kitty is tier 2. Moa is tier 3. Raboff is tier 3. Pony is tier 3. Lilith is also tier 3. Okay. Unknown is tier 2. Let's see. Make some more space here. Sion is tier 4. Azrael is tier 2. Wang is tier 4. Klein is tier 1. Again, he's not out yet, so he's tier 1 for now. Shark is tier 4. Because his existence is a joke. Lancer Alex is tier 2. You know what? Scratch that. He's definitely tier 1. A 75, like, just imagining Chenny walking around the map, always stunning. Anything that survives is just amazing. Let's see. Zero is tier 2. Belle is going to be tier... You know what? Belle is a hard place because she might just be the best healer in the game. But we're going to put her for tier 2 for now. Just because she doesn't seem to be completely amazing. Hella's going to be tier 3 because you'd have to sacrifice her for... Well, I'll get into that. And Shu is tier 2. So Hella is tier 3. And everybody else is tier 2. Alright. So let's get into this. So first, we need to consider the greatest party of all time, which of course looks something like this. These are the best 5 heroes in the game. For PvE. These heroes do absolutely everything. The only questionable member on this team is Chenny, which her natural alternate is Angela. Now, let's take a look at what that gives us. That gives us 2 papers, 2 rocks, and 1 scissor, instead of 2 rocks, 2 scissors, and 1 paper. Now, this team basically complements itself in absolutely every way. We have 2 swamp heroes, so like Azrael's level's not going to be any problem at all. We have good area damage. We have good ranged area damage too, which is nice. We have Immobilize, we have debuff healing, we have area healing for the whole team. We have a sustainable tank that does percentage-based damage, so you don't miss out on having an extra attacker. You have a DPSer that also heals himself and is very tanky at the same time. We have a ton of utility. We have 2 heroes with charm. We have buff removal. Now Angela does hurt her own team, but like I said, Chenny is probably a little bit more useful than Angela just in general, because you're not gonna have to remove buffs from your opponents in PvE very often at all. It's a very uncommon thing, though it is common on very high up levels. For example, Tower 55, and that's why she is the alternate here for Chenny. Otherwise, Chenny basically outdoes her in every way. Chenny doesn't damage her allies. She has an armor ignore that's significant. It's not the best in the game, but it's significant. She has great hitboxes. Her movement just fits in well with the rest of the characters in the game. Now, Angela's movement is 3, but her costume has 1 movement, which is something you should count towards base stats. If you're considering using a hero full time and their costume has movement on it, there should be no question you are spending 600 crystals on that costume. It's just what you're going to do. If Nexon wanted to sell a shit ton of costumes, they would put 1 movement on every single costume because they would all sell. Every single one of them. Sorry. Anyway, but we have the highest stun rate, the highest charm rate, 100% immobility, 100% buff removal, 100% debuff removal. We have a good coverage of areas. We have 2 swamp walkers. So like I said, if you're playing Azrael stage, which you need to be able to walk through the swamp, having a mercenary that's one of these 2 Serenity mercenaries are fairly common. You could just take a third one. 3 heroes going across the swamp is basically all you need, and then your other 2 heroes are good enough in range that if they can get the Azrael close enough, they could basically just shoot it from the other side anyway. Like I'm talking about here, obviously you'd probably take your Jack over across the swamp. Though if you were building a specific team specific for this level team, you'd probably swap out Jack for Lance as your tank for that level, because he'd just walk through. The only damage dealers, like threatening damage dealers, are Sonic Boom and for his instant death, and Jenny for her wide area and huge crits. So there's Azrael and Jenny for the straight regular damage, which they're both paper, so having the highest base defense character in the game who just happens to be a scissor seems like a good idea, seeing as how he can walk on swamp. But that's more of a tailored specific thing. So these are the literally best, most useful heroes in the game for everything, that most of them have very, very minor drawbacks. Like Moo's drawback is that her multipliers in terms of damage are not amazingly high, but she kind of trades off for that because her 3rd skill gives her 78% crit rate. So if you have 20% crit rate on her, basically after she's thrown the first one down, she gets all crits after that. So stacking crit damage on Moo makes her actually one of the most viable heroes in the game, because her 3rd skill actually isn't that costly and her mana pool is huge. So she transitions, like she can literally be whatever you want. Her stun hits a big box for 1, which is nice. So even if you're not just using it for stun, you can be using it to do damage. Her other hitbox is the same as Kai's, which is very useful. And it also heals allies. And with your crits being based off of your attack, getting a crit on the damage is getting a crit on the heal. Getting a crit on the heal, if you don't even have any enemies to do, so you can use the heal just by itself, and it still gives Moo the buff for the next turn, things like that. So she can just heal constantly, and maybe she just goes in the last slot. She's always falling behind. She doesn't do any damage, and she only heals. She would be constantly crit healing. But like very, very, very useful hero. Jack is kind of just broken. Lena is a better version of Jack because she applies a 27.5% weakening. Her HP percent damage is not as high as Jack's, but it's within like 2 or 3%. And it adds that 27.5% weakening. So what's nice about her is she's more effective at killing bosses than Jack. In terms of if every hero was solo, Lena would kill the same boss faster than Jack would kill it, without a doubt. Let's see. Angela, she's got vanilla stats all across the board. HP, defense, attack, and with her costume having 4 movement, like she's literally, like, well, I guess she's supposed to be the product of the Beast Drain project, right? So I guess that makes sense. Serenity, like, I'm tired of talking about Serenity. She's she's so strong, it's just retarded. The only way to fix Serenity would be to remove her from the game, but then there's like literally no hero that can cure debuffs like with a beneficial effect. Like Serenity's cure debuff adds damage reflect and a heal over time, which is nice. So you have multiple heals on this team, and the whole team can be sustained. The whole team works very well with each other. You have a good coverage of different terrains. You have literally no group or type of enemy that you could run into with this formation that would ever be a problem to you. Literally zero. And especially because gear is such a big part in this game. Like the worst thing that could happen for a team like this would be probably the Tower 40 map where the boss spreads everybody out and they'll have to do their own thing, because generally any team play works good when your whole team's there. So characters that are individually powerful, like Chenny and Kai, they do better in those situations. Now Serendi and Jack are definitely very individually powerful. Lena is more utility. Her individual power comes from boss killing, much like Jack. Though Jack can kill one guy at a time very well, he's like Lena being able to immobilize enemies with Carrot's hitbox for the second skill is probably just a little bit better for killing mobs. But that's, Jack's the tank. So anyway, I'm sidetracking here. But what we have here is this ideal-ish team. So, well, we have all these other tier 1 heroes, so where are they going to come into play? If these are the best heroes, then why use anything else? Well, there's going to be different situations that come up where these heroes are just not the best heroes to use in that situation. So this is where we're going to come in with alternations. What heroes here can be replaced if these are the absolute best? Oh, you know what? I run into this level on Azrael, and frick, I'm having a lot of trouble with it. Drop Jack, put in Lance instead, because he tailors to that level very well. Like, that's what you're going to be thinking for your different tech choices. Consider this to be the base for this is everything that's good in life that can do everything, but they will not be specialized to do everything that Nexon ever thinks of. Like, if the map says use only scissor heroes, you only got 2 of these heroes to go with. So you are going to need to have a good range of heroes to be working with. Also, if maybe you're playing the Rock Coup dungeon, they have a crap ton of armor. Maybe you want to throw Kai on your team. Get some armor ignore. You need to put some more stunners in there. Maybe Moo's going to be going first now. Like, there's going to be all these different changes that you're going to be having to make to tailor to the different maps, which is nice that Nexon has very graciously given us 3 party slots. And I would totally pay crystals to expand that to 10. Based on whoever I was farming that day, of course. Anyway. So let's talk about the different tech choices that you could have here. Alright, so for Serendi, she's probably the hardest hero in the game to remove. The other 4 heroes, very easy to remove. I don't think Serendi actually can be taken out of this team at all. I don't think there's any hero in the game that could actually take her place and do a good job. You might be thinking of just Serendi's charm to make her useful, but that's like, for that, yeah, maybe you could put Cleo in, for example, or maybe if you want to swap out and go with Alfred for just a huge area -4 movement for Lena. But like, the characters, certain characters are just so amazing at everything that there's just way too many drawbacks with other characters. These characters have 0 drawbacks. Like, absolutely 0. Like, they don't have a drawback. Like Moo has a drawback with her low percentage multipliers, but she makes up for it with being able to crit all the time. Like, when you have a drawback that your hero naturally can fix by itself, you can't really consider it a drawback, because The character fixes it individually. It doesn't need to have another hero. Like Angela's passive is activated by having another paper hero. Well, great, we got Moo. See, so that kind of solves that, but you need that other character. If Moo died and Angela was the only one left standing, she would lose her passive. So that's kind of more of a situational thing. It is a little bit of a drawback. Also, Angela can kill her own teammates, so she can't use her strongest skill when Jack's trying to kill the boss. She's going to have to use something else, maybe her auto skill, which keeps building up her attack. Anyway, so Lena, Chenny, Moo, and Jack are different tech choices for this. Now, picking from the top tier heroes would be the best, because they're generally just the strongest heroes that are just all around good at everything. I used to have Kai a lot lower rated, but ever since Ashen, like the way that they're going, a lot of characters in the game are going to be having higher armor from now on, especially with the new content. And Kai hits so freaking hard. Like I don't think that anybody I can't even hit as hard with my Chenny as I can hit with Kai, which is weird. Like normal for PvP, but weird for PvE. Very weird for PvE. But my Kai is just tearing Ashen apart. So I think that his role is becoming more pronounced the way, the later the game goes. But even in the earlier game, the only bad thing about Kai is bosses. He's amazing throughout the PVE, like the minions and things like that. With his 5 movement and his everything around me is gonna die skill, he's as soon as you can cast that twice, he's pretty awesome. Even when you can only cast it once, you just need to be more conscious of when you're going to be casting it, and you shouldn't really have any problems. Or at least I'm not having any problems on my free-to-play account. I found Kai to be one of the most useful heroes on my team so far. But he's very versatile. He's got a lot of movement. He does a lot of damage. But that's basically what he does. He just does a lot of damage. He has a weakening, but it only works for the turn it's cast, so he's going to have to go first for the whole team to benefit it. Where Lena's weakening works for the whole turn. For a whole 2 turns. So Kai is a very situational. Oh shit, they got a lot. You don't have the damage. You need the damage. Kai is going to be a good choice to throw in there for damage. My Kai and Chenny as a team do so much together. So many awesome things together, and they make me quite happy. Bearman is obviously the best PvE tank in the game. That is like a real tank. Jack is more of a DPS hero. He doesn't have any aggro without set equipment. Bearman has the highest natural aggro in the game with his 3rd skill that doubles it. So he's going to be, if you're looking for like a regular tank healer kind of combination, Bearman is the guy for you. Also, there's just some levels where a good Bearman just can't lose to at all. I think mostly of the paper coup dungeon where you just put Bearman in the middle, and then he could tank coup, like my Bearman can tank coup 10 for like 7 or 8 turns before he's like even at 20% HP or 30% HP. And that's with no healer. If I cast Serendi's healing skill on Bearman, my Bearman could actually just sit there until turn 30. He won't be able to kill all the papers by himself, but he can just sit there until turn 30, and then the level will end. He is a monster of a tank. Let's see. For other tier 1 heroes, just want to go through here. Let's see. Rage, Alex. They're more utility splits. Now, a lot of the tier 2 heroes are going to be very situational. You need a healer, Moss or Nirvana. You need some range. Like if you're playing the weapon storage. In the weapon storage, guess how many heroes in this team have 5 range? Oh, 0. Drop them all. You're playing weapon storage. Like I said, a lot of these things are situational. You want this one here. You want this one here. You might want this one here if you need some heals. You're going to want... you can have a couple of 4 range heroes, but you can only have 2. So Chenny might still make the cut, though I wouldn't recommend her for that dungeon. I would recommend Rage instead. And who else can we have? Who's got 5 range? You know what we need? Let's just put Frol in. So you got 3 5 range heroes and 2 4 range heroes. This team would just do so much straight up damage. It would like this is the I kill room 5 team. Sorry, weapon storage 10 team. 9 and 10, I believe they both have the same thing. But that would be an example of why these heroes are really good at what they're doing. They're just not amazingly good. Now, there's other reasons for some of these characters to be where they are. I don't want to go into the top 5 that I've chosen, because I did a very, very long, thorough explanation of that in another video. We're going to talk about some of the other characters and what makes them super amazingly useful. I've already talked too much about Kai in other videos, too much about Bearman in other videos. Let's talk about some of the newer heroes, or maybe some of the underused heroes. Now, Deb is a hero that a lot of people drop very frequently when they get to the later game, because there's a lot of good options and they don't feel that Deb meets the criteria anymore. That's a big mistake. Deb is a really good hero, just all around. It's just that she kind of bores you after a while, because everybody has Deb. Like, people just get tired of using Deb. But she is one of the most solid PvE heroes. In PvE, it's very easy to get consistent kills with Deb. Keep her passive on. She's got good movement. She has good damage. She hits a wide area. She's got 2 of the best hitboxes in the game for skills. And her mana costs are they're freaking nothing. They're low as low can be. She's the ideal, always running around throwing the best skills down in the game kind of hero. In terms of straight damage, though, that's the problem with Deb, is that she only does damage. The problem with the game is that amazing utility heroes do an insane amount of damage. Now, if you want to know how you can tell if a character is really overpowered or not, you do this. Balanced type, balanced type, balanced type, tank, balanced type, tank, and I think I've gone through all, balanced type, there we go. There's all probably the strongest heroes in the game that I can think of. Let's get to Angela, who is also a balanced type. The only character I can think of that is super broken OP, that's not a balanced type, or a defense type, because there's so few defense types in the game. It's like I think there's really just let's see, Lancer, Alex, Lilith. Sorry, Lance, not Lance or Alex. Golem, Lance, Lilith, Bearman, Jack, Chris. For some reason, I think that's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. There's only the 5. So they're basically a dying, not enough. Oh, and Raboff. Okay, how could I forget that? Better just do a quick sweep, make sure. Pretty sure that's all of them. Anyway, but basically, if a hero says balanced type on it, it means that they're good at everything, not that they're balanced at all. In most cases, like, balanced heroes are generally really, really good. Attack heroes are the definition of having a drawback. Their drawback is going to be their attack. Now, heroes that I think are able to deal with that very well are Lee and Rage. Rage, when you're playing PvE with him, is not going to be going around sniping everything with his highest mana cost skill. He's going to be generally using his second skill the most. He's got 4 movement as a base, so it's like you get a 1+ movement item on him, and he basically becomes Kai. Now, he doesn't have the armor ignore, but what he does have is a huge amount of crit rate and dodge that he adds to himself. So I would trade Kai's armor ignore to give myself guaranteed crit all the time. He's an attack type character, so he's generally going to have a lot of crit. Now, increasing his dodge makes him more ideal to build as a dodge build, so he doesn't really need the defense, so he doesn't actually suffer that much from having very little defense, because it's going to be very easy for him to hit dodge cap, which is around the 60% range. His passive is awesome, and it's something that is going to be going off. Like Rage is a great PvE hero. He's probably the best rock attacker for a slot 1 in the entire game. But he is so much better at PvE, it's outrageous. I'm actually raising my Rage just specifically for PvE, and I'm thinking about taking, well, it's going to be probably 2-3 months before I start raising Rage. I think I actually just want to wait until I roll them again to get a 670 genes, or until they implement some different way in the game for you to get genes to use on these heroes that are not perfect genes. Because I want to save my perfect genes for Lena. Anyway, that's a sidetrack, but like just the way that his skills are designed. His first skill, not that much. Like it's got an effect, but for the most part, his first skill is good at one thing: supporting his allies with combination attacks. It's the same as Lee's first skill. With having the 4 range, like that, having this huge box around you basically means this guy goes first, everybody else comes out, starts attacking, he co-ops on every single attack because he's going to be in range of everything. He only needs a second and his first skill for PvE and his passive. His third skill is more of a kill the boss if it's a scissors type thing. We'll kill any boss for the most part, but if it's a scissors, like even better, because it's got the armor ignore and it recovers his mana to help deal with his mana cost, which is kind of nice to have on a third skill. But he is very, very good, and he's very sustainable to himself. Self-buffing, high damage, sweet effects for all of his skills, and everything has very practical use that are like on an every turn basis I'm benefiting from my great skills. Very few heroes can actually say that. Most heroes that have combination like skills or things like that, it's like this skill triggers this skill. For example, Lily, if they lose movement, then they get stunned for 2 turns. Where everybody knows that Lily's better if she has somebody else lower the movement instead. That being said, let's go look at Lily. Lily, not that bad of a hero. Especially because her attack is huge. If you are finding that your attack is suffering and you don't need heals, Lily would be a good alternate for Moo. Because Lily's damage, being the highest attack paper hero in the game, it's a little bit more consistent. Lily is also Swamp, which is nice, that we have another Swamp. She'll be able to use her direction strategy almost all the time. She's going to have a ton of movement with this skill, which she'll be using predominantly throughout the minion killing up until you get to the boss. If the boss does not have stun immunity, Lily is probably the best boss support in the game because her stun's 2 turns. You pair her up with a character like even if you lose Lena, because Lena can immobilize, then Serenity could even use her basic skill to add a movement debuff. So like we got tons of ways to make Lily very useful. Plus she's a base 5 movement hero. I don't understand why she has a increase your movement more skill, or whatever you want to call Lily. But Lily's a very, very, very good hero. It's just the hero really is just this 2-turn stun. Like what's nice about Moo is a guaranteed stun, but she also does these other things. All Lily's things are more for herself. It doesn't really bring that much to the team, though it is kind of nice. There's nothing wrong with being really good, but it's better to be really good for everybody. Or to be able to do a lot of different things. Like Lily does 2 things, damage and 2-turn stun. Those are the things that Lily does. Fruel does 1 thing. He does damage. That's just all he does. Everything is just straight up damage. It's an attack type hero and he does that. He attacks. Rage tanks and does damage at the same time, because he walks into the middle of all the enemies, he pumps up his dodge through the roof, everything comes and attacks him the next turn that he was around that might have survived, if it does survive. It's going to be pretty hard to survive a fully geared out Rage, But let's say they survive. They're going to be attacking him, and they're going to miss all the time and protect your other characters. So you can have Jack on one side and then Rage on the other side, and they're kind of leading the charge for your team. This side's all missing, and this side Jack's healing himself. So like, there's different ways to do to give benefits for your team, and dodge is going to be like dodge. You should consider as good as a heal in PvE. If you dodge an attack, that's damage you don't need to get healed. Like that's the way that you should be looking at it. Plus, it's turns taken from your enemy that they completely lose. It's like say you're playing a chess game and you get to move twice. Like that's just the way they need to look at it. Plus, like Rage again, a lot like Frill, because he has an attack type, is mostly based around benefiting himself. But his benefits can benefit the rest of the team, whereas Frill's benefits can only benefit Frill himself. He's not going to tank attacks and make everybody miss. Okay, let's go to another alternate for. Oh, you know, let's look at Lee. Lee is actually really good for PvE. He's just a little bit kind of misunderstood because his skills are so amazing. This is the PvE skill for Lee. Hitting in a square, sorry, a cross, is not a bad skill. Like it's a more than adequate skill to deal with like small groups of minions, because generally minions are not together in 100 pieces at a time. Having them touching in a square formation, a cross formation, is very common, no matter what stage in the game you're in. So definitely not something that you should be kind of scoffing at. It like he can just use this skill the entire time, and that's all he needs. It's going to give him a huge amount of crit damage. He's already got insane crit on me anyway, so no problems here. And I've got a ton of crit damage stacked on him as well. So you can build him to literally just walk around, just killing huge enemies, groups, or not huge groups, but killing smaller groups of enemies, and just making his next attacks more stronger over time, over the whole time until he gets to the boss, and then he can throw this shit down when he gets to the boss. With his, again, same as Rage, having 4 range. The only big drawback to Lee is his 3 movement with no way to increase it. I would really, really, really like to get him changed and give him an extra 1 movement to make him the real true best attacker in the game, because attackers without mobility generally have too many problems. Now, there's a problem solver for that. It's called the ghost step, but I kind of like having my Persona's trick on him right now. Anyway, if Lee had a movement on his costume, I'd buy it for sure, because he does need 1 more movement. But that's why he's not in the god list of the perfect team ever. He's also got no great defense to him, so he does have a few drawbacks. It's nice, though, that he is the most sustainable, kill everything around him, too. But, like, him and Rage work a little bit in the same way, where they just walk around spamming their second skill for all the minions, and then their third skill kills bosses. Lee's a little bit better, but, like I said, Rage's gives him the dodge, which keeps him sustained. And also protects, like, there are attacks that are going to Rage that could have gone to your other team members. So it's kind of an indirect benefit to your team, but it's still a benefit. But like Ali's a very, 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 very good hero. That's going to be kind of looked at as more of a only PvP hero, but he's great for both. Okay, let's look at. I don't want to do Carrot because Carrot's another hero that I've done multiple videos on with explanations. Tao is a great boss killer. The problem is that's all really she does. Her weakening has damage reduction. Sorry, defense reduction. But Lena's weakening has like 16 or 17% total HP damage. So, yeah, Tao kind of falls short of that. Plus, one of her boobs is totally bigger than the other. Are you seeing this? The left one is like way bigger than the right one. Can't have a lopsided booby girl on your team. It's just not balanced. That's why she's an attack type, not a balanced type. Anyway, that's really all I want to say about her. Though she does have these great, like, Tao increases her defense when she's close, so she becomes, if she's fighting the boss and the boss is staying within one tile, or the boss is going to stay within one tile, she becomes a tank, which is nice. She becomes a tank. She gets extra drain with her attacks. She applies a huge ass weakening and a defense debuff. And she lowers attack by, I believe, the same amount. I'm pretty sure it maxes out at, it maxes out at 27.5. Which is nice that it's a percentage-based decrease instead of a flat amount, because the bosses are getting, like, she's more of a late-game boss killer. Now, late-game bosses are really hard to get right exactly up beside, which is nice that she has the 5 movement. But there's going to be better heroes. Like I said, Lena basically is just better at what Tao does very well, which is why Tao probably has the attack reduction as well, and the tankiness and the sustain. Though she's not going to be able to touch Jack with that. It's arguable that Lena and Tao could make a team better at killing a boss than Lena and Jack, but Lena and Jack kill that boss guaranteed in 2 turns. 2 turns, the boss is dead. If both Lena and Jack attack, that's almost this 80%. We'll call it 70% of the total HP has been taken with just their skill effects, and then there's the damage that they would have done naturally on top of that percentage amount. So 2 turns kills every boss with Lena and Jack, so long as the boss is not getting an immunity in the future to percentage-based HP damage. If I ever see a boss that says percentage immunity, it's going to be a hard boss, and then I'll go with Tao instead as a tech choice. She's a great hero. It's just the problem with a lot of really great heroes is they're just not as good as some better heroes. I find that this game is pretty well balanced. I just think that there's a lot of heroes that are imbalanced. Like, you could definitely make a team of all of the tier 4 heroes, and with good enough gear, you could probably do just fine. I don't know if you could beat everything with those heroes, but it'd be fun if somebody wants to make a video where they do. Momo, hating on Momo. He's just not really good at doing damage, which is unfortunate. All the other heroes that do a lot of damage have some way to make their damage stand out, where Momo doesn't have any. He really needs armor ignore, and I hope that they add it to him in the future, because Momo is one of my favorite characters, and he's just not that good, unfortunately. When you only do damage, it's not good. What is good in PvE, if he had 1 extra movement, if he had 4 movement like Carrot, then he'd be more versatile with his second skill, and he goes around upping his attack by almost 20% every single time. So at least then, instead of lowering attack and having utility, he would just straight up kill the enemies, which would be obviously more ideal than lowering their attack. But with the 3 movement, he just lags behind too much. He needs to have some kind of huge movement thing. And in PvE, a Ghost Step only works for 2 turns, so it's not like it's the greatest item in the world. If you had Ghost Steps on better characters, you would want to prioritize your Mercenary on those characters to reset the effects too, so it's not like Ghost Step is going to solve all your problems either. You can't beat every single PvE map in the game in 2 turns. It's just not practical. Okay, let's get back into this. Is there any other heroes that I kind of want to bring out? Let's see. Moss and Nirvana. Healers are kind of in a tough spot right now. Spot. Because Moo already has this sweet heal. And it doesn't just heal, it does area damage. And a good hitbox with 100% stun. An okay passive, but only if your team is dying. And her first skill is really good for charging the mana back up. She's much more balanced. Nirvana is a glacier and water terrain, which is nice for him. If you have some water problems, he'd be a good alternate. Also, Moss can walk on water too, so they're good for those things. Nirvana also gets a single movement from his costume, even though it's the stupidest costume in the entire game. But a movement's a movement, bro. It'd be nice if you could keep it equipped and then choose to not have it showing. I'd like them to add that. But Nirvana is more of a here's his heal. Here's a thing that heals and has a team buff and debuff at the same time. So you can use it to kill enemies and you can use it to help allies. But you're going to do both at the same time. It would be like good to throw on your team member when he's going for the final kill. Or maybe onto one of your attackers who's staying back at the beginning of the fight. Whereas it'd also be good to throw on the boss the last turn when you plan to kill him. So it's kind of a useful skill, but the heal is probably left very low on purpose for reasons like that, because it's meant to be used both defensively and offensively. His third skill, that is kind of a high-ish percentage, but unless everybody has heroes with 40,000 attack, it's just not that much health to heal. Nirvana actually would be better off on a team with Serenity, because then you can throw both of their effects down, and hopefully that works out. Nirvana's skill is better at giving 2 movement and adding almost 4,000 defense to a target. Hello tank, hello Bearman, here you go. Hello Jack, want to be Bearman? This is what it feels like. Then you give him 4,000 defense more. Easy like that. His passive is really good too. All he needs to do is get hit. Oh, my goodness. Whenever an enemy attacks? Does this work literally every single time an enemy attacks? Well, you know what? I'm not going to question it, but that's what it says. So, I thought maybe he was getting the movement increase without actually having to be attacked. It's stupid then that he actually even has this passive. He should just have 4 movement. They should give him a real passive that's actually useful. That's stupid Nexon for some things. Anyway, they're good at what they do, but heals and party buffs, like Moss's defense increase, for example, is on his second skill, though it's half the amount that Nirvana does. In terms of how much defense it's going to be adding. The heal, though, is a heck of a lot higher, but it doesn't give 2 movement. His third skill, I think, is the best heal in the game in terms of straight healing. So, Moss or Nirvana, which one you should pick, is going to actually depend on what you're going to be wanting to do. Are you looking for straight heals, or are you looking for utility buffs that come on a guy who's got some mediocre heals? It's going to depend, which is why they're both tech choices. If you want more consistent heals, Moss's mana cost is a lot lower, but he can only heal a single target at a time. In the higher up levels, you're like again, let's think of Azrael's map. Your whole team's getting pelted by Jennies. You can't heal one at a time there. Your team's not always going to be sitting in this little small cross, though they might be in a box that you can reach everything with Moo. She's going to be more practical. That way, and that too, you can just use Serenity on top of that. So Serenity throws it down at the same time where Moo's healing. Use Moo as the centerpiece, and maybe you can hit the whole team again. Anyway, there's a lot of really good ways that you can use characters like Moo. There's literally just a very linear path for characters like Moz and characters like Nirvana. At least they have good range on their auto attacks. Who can we talk about next? Oh, you know what? Jilin. Let's go with Jilin. Character I still haven't raised. Not that I'm never going to raise him, it's just I don't have a use for Disarm like most people would. Look at these hitboxes. Auto attack? What kind of auto attack is that? Pretty damn awesome hitboxes, eh? Chillin can be the man if his stats ever increase. Here's the problem with Chillin. One of the lowest healths in the game. He has the same attack as Bearman, I believe. His defense is not terrible, but it's not good. His dodge is abnormally high, but not good at the same time if you consider how dodge works just as a mechanic. His crit rate is insanely low. His mastery is decent. His movement is 4. His mana pool is high, but let's just take a look real quick. If at level 1 it costs 100 mana, it's probably going up by... Oh, it goes up by 1 on the first one? Somebody give me a check for Jillin's mana cost. I thought for some reason his skills cost a lot more. Anyway, not that important. But he probably just has good mana. Other than that, what's going to make him bad is that you're going to hope that disarm works. Like you throw your big area disarm, and like, oh man, I hope I disarm everything because I really can't take a hit. That's Chillin's problem. He's got some good buffs, but again, if you want a sweet party buffer that can do some heals, you're better off with Nirvana. Though disarm does have its very, very awesome times where it's useful, where you just think to yourself, I really wish I had disarm. Same thing with rep off, though if you're going for disarm, then obviously you're going with Jill. And look at that box. That hitbox is amazing. Let's talk about Dominique. Dominique would be amazing if she wasn't built so much for dodge twink PvP. Her third skill costs not like the most amount of mana, but you can't go kill single minions with your third skill to dodge twink yourself out all day. And you definitely can't just continually kill the boss to keep the benefit of that. So she kind of doesn't really do that well in PvE, though there are some cool things you can do with her. She has a very high natural dodge, so maybe you can build her with a high enough dodge that she takes so few attacks that she really doesn't need to use her third skill for the dodge benefit. For her passive to work. Her second skill might be able to activate it, though it's going to be a lot less consistent the later you get into the game, where your second skill, even your third skill, is not killing units like in one shot all the time. Though her third skill is the highest damage skill in the game in terms of straight percentage modifier for a skill. I don't think that it is good enough to compensate for like a 40-200 armor ignore at this point in time, but maybe she'll change. But to activate her passive, she needs to consistently kill. So with just her second skill for that, like, it hits too crappy of a hitbox to really kind of guarantee that all the time. Though with 5 movement, you might be able to do something, but do you want her to be going into the fight first, into the group first, or coming into it at the end? So, cool passive. I really do like characters like Rage's more, where he just gets his dodge from his skill, and then his passive gives him a huge amount of attack, because attack is always universally going to be useful. Dodge is useful when you have people targeting you first, not when you're coming in after everything else is fought and picking things off. Because then generally your whole team's basically around there too. Dominique would be better if she can just go and pick off individual units. But it's just too mana heavy of a thing, and she damages herself. Kitty's like another really cool character that I'm just never going to race. She's got great hitboxes. 5 range, huge box to hit with an area. Her passive is like awesome. It's awesome, but only because of this skill. If you don't know how these skills work, I believe it increases their attack for every enemy inside the hitbox. Man, some of the way these skills are worded are very misleading. Every enemy on the entire person's other team raises Kitty's attack. That could just be how it works, which is even more amazing. But I believe it's anyone that's inside her hitbox. She increases the attack. It's a lot like Henry's skills where it gives the increase for the attack. I don't think it's a permanent thing. It's just for the time when you use each skill. Instantly increase it right now. Doesn't say it maintains it. But Kitty's a good area damage, but like basically that's it. She doesn't really have any other like magic that can happen with her. I don't have Lance or Alex, so I'm just going to leave them alone right now. But just picture Chenny going around. Instead of killing everything, it stuns. So if you know you can't kill with Chenny, stunning them would be good. It's more of a tech choice. But yeah, this is the best team of all time. Without a doubt in my mind. Like, these are the best heroes in the game. And they just do amazing things with each other. I personally think the best terrain advantage you could have in the game is Glacier. I think that's the absolute best. Arguably Plains is the best. And Swamp is probably the most useful because it's an impassable terrain, like water. And water generally does not... Like, there's very, very, very little water blocks everything off. But there's clearly a lot of swamp blockage. But anyway, you'd be hard-pressed to find any hero to replace any hero in these 5. The only time that you can say that any of these heroes is not as good as the other hero is when you are literally under the knife. Okay, I'm on this level. This hero does not do good here. This level is designed in a way that makes this hero not as useful. But there's other good tier 1 heroes and tier 2 heroes on the list that I provided that can kind of fill those roles. If there is some way that these heroes are lacking. These heroes are very generally going to be able to do anything. Let's just say that enemies are coming at you. They don't have any immunities and crap like that. And you're going to go to kill them. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 characters with great hitboxes. You have no problem with area damage on this team. You have 1, 2, 3 heroes with amazing utility skills. The highest charm rate, 100% debuff heals, 100% immunity, immobility, 100% stun, a second charm, the highest percentage weakening available on a skill, which Tao, Lena, and Jin all share, has 27.5%. All the heroes, except for Lena, have good movement. Everybody has 4 movement. Serenity has 3 movement, and her passive is her 2, so she's got 5. Jack has 5, Moo has 4, Chenny has 4, without any gear pieces. So I would say Lana is the highest priority for you need a new, like if you had like a Lumen Hymn or a Lava Chaser, you put it on Lena. I plan to be taking my Lava Chaser off of Moo and putting it on Lena as soon as I feel like using her, which will probably be next month for the tower. But this is the team I'm going to be running through the tower with the exception of Kai. Because I have so many sweet gear sets on Kai, it's just easier for me to use him in Moo's slot until I feel I need a healer or I don't have enough damage to deal with the boss without stun locking it, for example. So Moo might lose her spot to Kai just because I might prioritize more damage when I do tower next. But this is basically the team. And the only time I'm going to switch anything out is if I really feel that I'm not needing a role. Moo is mostly the healer. It's just that she also is better at just not healing when she is. If there's one target left and she can stun it, then you don't need to heal. If you don't need to heal, then it's a good thing that you're the character that is making it so that you don't need to heal. So, like Moo's very good at filling the holes that she might make. The biggest problem with healers in this game is there's just turns where they don't have a turn. And characters that you can't use every single turn are not going to give you as much value. Moo switches whatever she's doing to fit the situation. Chenny is always going to be useful. Huge damage, huge area, huge mana pool, low mana cost, good movement, armor ignore. She's a fantastic hero. Amazing stats too, all across the board. Serenity, too good. Too good to be true. Well, there's very little to say about Serenity. She's got everything on lockdown. Let's look at Serenity. Now, Serenity's base stats are not incredibly high. Her HP is a little on the low slide. Her attack is actually pretty good. Just sub 7,000, which is not that bad. Considering, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Her defense is very low. So she is meant to be more of a don't get killed kind of hero, but the problem is she generally charms everybody that she fights. And her cooperation is SS, which is pretty awesome too. She's got very high mana. She's got good dodge, though you know how I feel about dodge. And she's got good starting crit rate too. So she's a good all-round hero. She does look like she lacks a little bit in the defense, but she's a very best defense is a good offense character, and we see that very clearly with her skills. Oh shit! Oh my goodness! I read the 56% as the charm for a minute. I thought that they had nerfed Serenity. She has a 75% charm, and this hitbox is the most useful hitbox in the game in terms of versatility. Most good area skills can only hit in one direction. The best area skills can hit in multiple directions, which is nice. Her passive not only gives her movement, but an extra 14% attack, which more than deals with her 6,800 base attack. It makes her a heck of a lot stronger. That's like having, let's see, just off the base attack, 10% of the 6,800 would be 680. So now she's already at 7,400. Just if it was just with a 10% buff, she would be a 7,400 attack base hero. But she's more basically in the same range for damage as she's probably above Carrot and Momo, but under Angela and Klein. But she's got a percentage bonus. So, because it's a percentage bonus, she also gets bigger benefits from all the weapons, which is nice too. Yeah, but that's basically it. Like she's really easy to stack damage with because she has such a very always on, always useful passive, and she has a way to even sustain herself up at HP, which is also kind of OP. Okay, and other than that, like just her first skill having the movement reduction is cool, but I like it better. The fact that it has 3 range in all directions is more useful to me. In terms of her, what's more useful, the movement going down by 2 or better, the better range. But she does have a very, very, very useful kit here, and she's very easy to build. Like you get her for free. You just get her. You play the level and you get her. As soon as you're strong enough to farm her genes, you do it all day and all night. And of course, you could always put some OP stuff on her. Going to be going for another full Dasso set. I took 2 pieces of my Dasso off, and I gave them to Lee. So I'm going to be fishing for another chest piece, another accessory. This Dasso set event, if it comes up, next one. I'm really hoping for another Beast Rain set because I might go nuts on a Beast Rain. I want 1, 2... Oof, it's a tough call. I only want 2 pieces for Lee. Because this bow is just too good to believe. But I only want 2 pieces for Lee as of right now. And they have to be chest piece accessory, which sucks because I've got 2 mana emitters. Anyway, I'm going to cut this video off here. I've been talking for way too long. This was not a short and sweet video. But basically, those are your PvE go-to heroes. There's a good progression of heroes. Maybe I'll do another video on different stages of the game, what you're going to be needing. Though generally, the game kind of always gives you really good heroes in the very beginning of the game that you can progress to kind of deal with everything. I talked about it in another one of my videos today, but basically the game in the first few areas, in the area before, they give you exactly what the game is prepping you into needing. Like, oh look, here's a healer. Things are going to be doing a heck of a lot more damage and having a lot more health in the next area. Get used to it. Things like that. Here's a scissor tank and a damage dealer. All the bosses in the next area are paper. Dolores, Moss, and Jenny. If you can even call Moss a boss. What else is there? When you get Carrot, very first spray the big area damage dealer, which does a better job than Jenny too, because Jenny's just very impractical. I want to talk about why I put Jenny in 3 before we close this off, actually. Jenny's mana cost on her skills is outrageous. Like, I've started to strip her gradually. I think I'll take this and put it on Angela for PvE, as soon as I'm not going to be using her in PvP. But she's basically, she has this huge potential with her passive. Very huge potential. But the thing is, Fruel actually does more damage, and he doesn't need to have a second paper hero or any drawback. He just does more damage because his stats are a lot better, his skill hits a lot harder, and he already has 20% crit damage, I believe, himself at maxed passive. This skill, if you try to be practical with it, it increases crit rate by 7,600. That's a pretty cool thing to have. The next time I spray the whole area, I can crit everything. That'll be cool, right? Well, good 70% of you aren't going to be able to crit shit because you're not going to have enough to cast this skill more than once. It's 176 mana. I've got 323 mana on this, so unless you want to make all these potentials mana over crit rate, like, you would kind of build Jenny the way that you would build Kai, but the way that you build Kai, you can get 3 rounds off on his basic, his third skill, and you'd be lucky to pull 2 with Jenny. I don't think there's a single Jenny anywhere that can pull 3 in a row, but if there is one, that's a superhero Jenny. And it still doesn't do as much damage as for all that crazy investment that's gone into it, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate for me because I've almost maxed her, and I completely regret raising her at all. Should have stuck to my guns on the Carrot is better than Jenny list. Oh yeah, I guess I should show you why Fro does more damage. It's because her stats suck. They're just not good. She has one of the lowest masteries you can even get. Her movement is 3. There's no natural way to increase her movement. She does hit a very, very, very wide area, which is nice, but in your first playthrough, you're not going to get consecutive casts with her third skill. Her third skill is basically going to up the crit rate of your next basic attacks. That's the only thing you're going to have mana for. If you're using her, if you pick her up right away and you're going to decide to use Jenny, she's a one-trick wonder hero. A lot of people thought that Kai was the one skill wonder, but it's really just Jenny, because there's no amount of gearing and potentially that you can do early in the game that can compensate for her insane mana cost. The only thing that you can do is just not level her third skill, and not leveling your best skill kind of seems like a bad thing, and it's because it is. So again, Jenny, so much promise. They really, if they made the skill cost 130 instead of 170. Same with Carrot's third skill, because Carrot's third skill is outrageous too, which is why it's only really used for bosses. It'd be a lot better. I would reconsider Jenny into tier 2 because Frill's still better than her anyway. But that area is huge. Klein hits it better, but that's because Klein's OP and doesn't need anything to be OP. Anyway, I'm tired. Going to bed. Have a good one.